McMaster, ein kritischer Geist und enger Vertrauter von General Petraeus, gilt als einer der Köpfe hinter der neuen US-Strategie im Irak.
Yeah, I think one of the important things to understand about Iraq is that the fight is different. You know, the effort to bring security and stability is different in every area of Iraq. And so the conflict changes, you know, based on location, but it also evolves over time. So what's really important is to pay particular attention to the unique ethnic, sectarian, tribal dynamics, the nature of the enemy in certain areas that make each of these areas unique, and not to try to apply one sort of set solution across all of Iraq, because the situation is fundamentally different based on location. In Mosul, the enemy there is Al-Qaida in Iraq and other organizations that have allied themselves with Al-Qaida in Iraq. Ansar al-Sunnah is one of those organizations. So what does it work in Nineveh province is this sort of alliance of convenience between these takfirists, you know, these Salafi jihadists who are affiliated with Al-Qaida, and some former Baathists and former members of the old regime who try to draw on a reservoir of discontent and a reservoir of fear associated with, you know, what their place will be in the new order. They feel as if their world has been turned upside down. They were the leaders in the old regime, and now they're in a relatively weak position. They feel. They're also very concerned about the encroachment of the Kurds from the north, and so really what Al-Qaida needs is they need a certain portion of the population to regard them as patrons and protectors. And then they come in and say, we will protect you from, you know, fill in the blank, either the Crusaders, you know, the rejectionists, what the word they use for the Shia community, or the Kurds. But once invited in to these communities, what they do is extend their control with brutality, with intimidation, with murder. And over time, what has occurred in many of these areas, Mosul included, is that people realize that the future under Al-Qaida, the future under these insurgent organizations affiliated with Al-Qaida is very bleak. And so our security efforts aim to lift the pall of fear off these communities so that normalcy can return, hope can be rekindled, and then people can understand, you know, that they can advance their interests within the political system rather than at the end of the gun. And I think that this is what is occurring broadly throughout the country, in Mosul in particular. Now, Al-Qaida is drawn to Mosul because of the ethnic and to some extent the sectarian dynamics there. You have a divide, for example, between the Turkmen, Sunni, and Shia communities. It's the perfect place for Al-Qaida to pursue their strategy of trying to start a civil war, because Al-Qaida can only survive if Iraqis are fighting each other, because that's the only way they can gain sponsorship within a portion of the population. And so the strategy that they've been pursuing since the end of 2003 is set conditions for a civil war, get a cycle of ethnic and sectarian violence going, so then you can use that chaos to establish control over certain areas, use then those areas to conduct mass murder attacks and other sort of means of inciting sectarian violence, and then continue to create a chaotic environment. And of course, the Iraqi people suffer tremendously from this. Yeah, that's just a very dramatic change. Okay, now, Hijab in these areas, these areas were used by Al-Qaida as safe havens and support bases for mass murder attacks against innocent civilians in Baghdad. And the reason why they were drawn there are many. I mean, first of all, it's a rural area, so you just have to behead a couple of people, you know, in these areas, and everybody gets the idea: don't inform on Al-Qaida, don't talk to coalition, don't talk to Iraqi security forces. And so these are areas where they could assemble their bombs, assemble their car bombs, and then use them in Rasaf in particular, but against the Shia communities, but in other areas within Baghdad as well. Al-Qaida was able to gain sponsorship there because of this brutality and intimidation. And it was the heart of sort of Saddam's military-industrial complex as well. So this was an area that was a big loser economically and politically with the collapse of the Ba'athist regime in 2003. And so this is what Al-Qaida used to gain some sponsorship here. And the strategy for dominating Baghdad by the 1920s Revolution Group and all these other groups that are affiliated with Al-Qaida in Iraq was to dominate what are called the Baghdad belts, the approaches to Baghdad, and then gain access into Baghdad's neighborhoods and foment the kind of sectarian violence that you saw in 2005 and 2006. So these belt areas were very important to the enemy. This is an old strategy of Saddam's. I mean, Saddam repopulated this area with mainly Sunni Arabs after the 1991 uprising. When you talk about Al-Qaida, you're talking about people who are committed to an un-Islamic, and narrow definition of religion that basically is kutubist in its origins, that is based on a definition of what a true Muslim is, that is very it excludes the vast majority of Muslims, almost all of them, and they believe that anyone who does not adhere to their narrow and really irreligious definition is an apostate, an unbeliever, a rejectionist, and that it is their duty to kill them. I mean, this is the sort of takfirist dimension of this, the ability to declare people as unbelievers and then kill them. So those are the most committed people who are essentially brainwashed, who are manipulating, undereducated, largely illiterate young males to use them in this very brutal campaign of mass murder and coercion. And what happened is in the period 2003, late 2003 and on, a series of alliances of convenience were made between nationalist, Ba'athist, so-called resistance movements and Al-Qaida. That has fractured. I mean, the people have seen Al-Qaida's true colors. They understand their true intentions, and they have rejected it. And it will depend, obviously, in large measure, on the Iraqi government's and leaders within the Iraqi government's ability to suppress their own fears, because all of these communities have fears that drive the violence. And among the Shia leadership, whose families suffered, almost unspeakable, trauma under Saddam, they fear a Ba'athist resurgence. I mean, they feel as if they were colonized, for centuries underneath a Sunni Arab minority, and now is their chance to really assume the position of leadership. As you recall, in 2005, they boycotted the elections. That was disastrous for the Sunni community because they're underrepresented at the provincial level. This is the time of the provincial elections, and within district governments and so forth. And they are determined to participate fully in the next election. And that's the definition of success. If you move the competition from a physical battleground, a competition that is decided at the end of an AK-47 to the political domain, then that's success.
Sergeant Williams ist der Kommandant eines M1 Kampfpanzers. Mit seinem 62 Tonnen schweren Ungetüm fährt er entlang der von den Amerikanern Route Santa Fe genannten Straße zu seinem Beobachtungsposten. Er stellt den Panzer mitten auf der Straße ab und wartet für die nächsten paar Stunden. Was das bringen soll, frage ich Sergeant Williams. Erstens, sagt Williams, geht es darum, Präsenz zu zeigen. Die Widerständler wissen, dass sie kaum eine Chance haben, eine Bombe entlang der Straße zu platzieren, solange der Panzer sich dort befindet. Sergeant Williams sucht ständig mit der Beobachtungskamera das Gebiet entlang der Straße ab. Eine Wärmebildkamera liefert zusätzliche Bilder. Durch diese Darstellung erscheint die Kontur eines Menschen auf dem Bildschirm als heller Fleck. So kann sich niemand unentdeckt der Straße nähern, auch nicht in der Nacht, sagt Williams. Seit die Panzer hier regelmäßig Posten beziehen, ist die Anzahl der Anschläge an der Route Santa Fe dramatisch zurückgegangen. Doch auch die Tatsache, dass es hier nun sicherer ist, kann nicht darüber hinwegtäuschen, dass entlang der Straße Route Santa Fe die meisten der Häuser schwer beschädigt sind. Den ganzen Sommer über und in den Herbst hinein will die US-Armee gemeinsam mit irakischen Truppen Al-Qaida in Bedrängnis bringen. Es ist hier wie im Wilden Westen. Die Amerikaner haben die Stadt mit einem Netz aus Forts, Außenposten und Basen überzogen, die nahe genug beieinander liegen, sodass im Falle eines Anschlags eine Truppe der anderen helfen kann. Doch die Bewohner von Mosul, der Perle des Nordens, werden wohl noch eine gute Zeit darauf warten müssen, dass ein wenig Normalität in ihre idyllische Stadt am Ufer des Tigris Einzug hält.